We've all been told that changing our self talk or shifting our mindset is the secret to better performance and a healthier life. But here's the catch: most of us discover pretty quickly that we can't just shut off that inner critic or flip the switch to positive thinking. Thoughts just show up whether we invite them or not, they come and go. Suppressing them doesn't work, and chasing the perfect mindset can leave people stuck in an endless self analysis instead of moving forward. At the same time, research is clear: both self talk and mindset matter for your health. The words we use in the moment shape our stress response, our blood pressure, even our resilience against aging. The stories we tell ourselves, our mindset, can literally add or subtract years from our health span. That creates a powerful feedback loop. What you say to yourself reinforces the story you believe, and the story shapes the next words you'll see. One influences the other, and together they influence your health. So that's the puzzle. If we can't control this self-talk we have in our head, but we know it matters, and if mindset is more than a reframe, then where do we begin? So Dr. Teplow, how do you see the relationship between self-talk and mindset? And do we really need to fix either one before we can start making real changes to our health?
I love this question. And flat out, no, you don't have to change. And you said, one of the people we work with said the other day, the brain does what the brain does.
I
I
love
just
that
love
one.
that, right? The brain does what the brain does. And so, there's a lot of data, as you were citing, about self talk. The question is like, it's the chicken and the egg. And you can change your self talk, but does that change behavior? Some people, say it's the feeling, then the thought, and then the behavior. At the same time, we have the fake it till you make it, do the behavior and eventually you'll feel it. And I think we can just keep going round and round and round. What comes first, what to do. And you brought up, are we going to be paralyzed, or waiting for the perfect moment? Um, and we have our Stamina Lab has our 8 magic words that tempers the kind of self-talk that gets people really stuck, the permanent, pervasive, and personal. So yeah, let me pause there and see if you've got anything to add to that, like as I stepped into it, because then I can say a little bit more.
For sure. Well, we definitely want to tell our listeners what these 8 magic words are. We don't have to tell them right now, but we definitely want to tell them what they are, because they are valuable. They're super popular. And people use them all the time, and they do help. They do help with a shift. And I think a shift is different than retelling yourself, or trying to train your self-talk, or trying to change your self-talk. The shift is slightly different. Then I think I feel it as a slightly different way. It just opens up the door for possibilities. And I think that's what we look for in our work, is the hope and the possibility that we have for ourselves.
Absolutely. And distinguish between a mindset or a kind of belief system
Yeah.
and, what you do in the moment. So first of all, one thing I think is important to note in terms of self-talk, that we have automatic self-talk. And that's what gets people in real trouble. I'm dumb, I'm lazy, I'll never be able to do it. That's that automatic. It's permanent. I'll never be able to do it, or I'll always do this. It's pervasive. I do it in all contexts and it's personal. I'm a loser. I do it in all contexts all the time, which makes me a loser. So that's a kind of automatic. The brain does what the brain does. That gets us in trouble. Then there's deliberate self-talk, like what performers do, or any kind of performance. I'm going to do this, first the right, it's instructional and it's deliberate. So our 8 magic words, which we will reveal, kind of crosses, because it's instructional, that we can say, um, I don't always do it, or, I haven't done it yet. So we'll talk about the 8 magic
Well,
words.
I think what comes up with those the 8 magic words, you put them in place when you notice that
That's right.
pervasive negative, or not even negative, just talk that doesn't serve you. I don't even want to say negative, because all talk is there, and it's neither negative or positive. I don't think it's just talk. It's just wind blowing in the air.
I love that. I think that's a really, even if we stop the podcast right now, this would be really important for people to understand. Everything you do has a purpose. Every thought that comes into your head, it served a purpose at least at one time. I think I've said before, Terry Real, a therapist, very noted, wonderful therapist, has a way of explaining it that makes beautiful sense. Adaptive then, maladaptive now. So while, we believe things, I'm lazy. Yeah, we may have been lazy, but to take on that, identify that was maybe adaptive to say, okay, so that's probably not a good example, but our behavior, that learned behavior was adaptive to keep us safe, to keep us connected to people that we cared about. Maybe those behaviors now as adults, they're maladaptive. So, that's a
Notice that. So when we notice, that's the powers in the noticing that
yes.
we have. So we're saying something that is not serving us. I think I said this before. When I'm running a race, I'd say, is that thought serving me or not serving me? Is it helping me get to the finish line or not helping me get to the finish line? If I think my legs are tired, or I didn't get enough sleep this week, or I ate poor, I don't think I ate properly, or any of these thoughts, I'm like, oh, is that serving me? No, it's not helping me get to that finish line. So let it go, let it go. Just really just being noticing that thought and then saying, well, what do I want to do now? And the eight magic words
Exactly.
help us. The eight magic words helps us open up a bit of possibility for that. Or like I said, that does it serve me or doesn't serve me? Type
Right,
question.
right, and I use "does it work or not?" And work
Yeah,
meaning
just yeah,
and
exactly.
here's the, and you're mentioning it, if you're running a race, here's the thing that we haven't mentioned. It's not the elephant in the room, but it is a important point, is where are we going? What's our destination?
Yeah.
What are the outcomes that we want? What is the future we want to be living? And here's where I got brought up the chicken and the egg. So you can either impose self-talk and change it. So instead of saying, I always, I always get this wrong, you say, well, right now, it's one of our magic words. Right now, I have trouble with it. Or right now, I can't run a mile in 4 minutes. I could never, but that's okay. Or, not yet. I can't yet do this. Or so far, I haven't been able to do that. And then, of course, I love the at least. At least I ran a mile, even if it was slow.
Yeah.
But the context is, and that's what you suggested, is when you're running the race, is where do you want to go? And when you think about what you want your future to be, then you can say, then you have a context for your self-talk and asking that, does this work to get me to where I want to be?
So, so that I think brings up the mindset, which I view as more the story we're telling ourselves versus the self talk, which is what we're talking about right now. The most immediate things that are happening in this, the brain doing the brain braining,
Yeah,
where it's just lots of thoughts coming in and going. But the mindset is, that vivid picture of the future that we want to have and what that looks like. So in a race, it's pretty clear. I want to get to the finish line. And I've been working towards that. Preparing for the race. So that's pretty clear of a picture. But we can apply that to everything and painting that picture, and that
exactly.
informs our mindset. And really, the chicken and egg thing, I really like that, because you can't have one without the other. They connect to each other.
Yeah, right. And so we have this, so we say, just imposing, or we're going to reshape, or, fix our automatic talk. So instead of saying always, we're going to, kind of impose from external. No, don't say that. That's not right. You should say not yet, or at least, or something like that. It's the idea. I think those 8 magic words are so powerful and important to have, because they represent, as you use the word, possibility. So, I think that it opens the door right now to talk about, well, how would you use those 5 magic words in a way that's kind of organic, and that, hmm?
The 8 magic words. Yeah, you said
A
5.
magic, yeah, I'm sorry, a magic words, yeah, that they're kind of evolve organically, and from, and more they're part of intrinsic rather than just being dumped on you or imposed. One
And
thing is
is that through was that through painting that big vivid picture of the future, or painting that goal or destination that you were trying to get to?
absolutely, it is. It's, and there are few on that way. I think it's really important to have that destination so you can say with your self-talk, well, wait, is this helping me or not helping me? Does this work Does this not work? And you use the word notice. First of all, notice your self-talk and know it had a purpose. It doesn't, it's maladaptive now. Just accept your brain does the brain thing. The brain does its own thing and then work with it. Does it work? Does it not work? And then what do you do if you say, well, that doesn't work? How do you shift? So you can impose, well, don't use that word. I'll use this word instead. Don't use always, use right now. But there's some other strategies to use to help your self-talk evolve. And one of the things is to notice exceptions to the rule.
Mm.
Like, well, I'm just lazy. Well, wait, ask yourself. And here's the thing about self-talk. It's also ask the good questions. So, okay, I'm lazy. Notice, I'm saying that. Does that help me get off the couch and exercise? No. Well, how do I help my self-talk evolve so it is more supportive? Well, I can ask myself, well, am I always lazy? Well, no, I'm not always lazy. Look for the exceptions. When am I not lazy? Are there times when, is there one time I wasn't lazy? Are there times when I'm consistently more energetic the way I want to be in the future? Well, in fact, yeah. Whenever, I go walk my dog every day, and sometimes the dog likes to play with the ball and I do it. Okay. So I'm not always lazy. That starts shifting the self-talk.
I think one of the things I hear a lot is, I'm out of shape. I'm not in good shape. I hear it so many times. I hear I'm fat. Oh my goodness, that one's so annoying to not annoying, but just really tough to hear when people say that. And those are some of the like, I never get enough sleep. Yeah, or it's so hard. I can't stick to my routine. That's another one that really always pops up. Those are just some of the self-talk that people say these things out loud. It's not even just self-talk. Sometimes the self-talk just becomes outside talk. And I think really when we listen for people's, it's just to their stream of consciousness, sometimes that's their self-talk coming out.
Yeah. Interestingly, so that suggests that, people, you have to notice first. So if you're stuck, maybe the lesson here is if you're stuck, start noticing what are you saying to yourself?
Yeah.
And then notice that the brain does what the brain does.
So
Ask yourself,
you say exceptions of when when you have slept well, or you have felt in shape, or you have done something that gives you evidence that you're moving towards being in shape.
yeah, see, and also people get stuck on the strategy. Say, well, have we said it a million times yet? Multiple pathways to the same river. So
Yeah.
people get stuck saying, well, I can't be healthy because, I can't do my walking or, my sleep. But there are many other ways to get to the same river. If you aren't sleeping, for some women, for instance, you have hot flashes all the time and it's really hard to get good sleep almost no matter what. So what can you do to, to hit areas that even in the presence of not ideal sleep will still support a satisfactory or adequate level of health?
So I want to go back to you said we talk about self-talk and mindset and the difference
Mhm.
between them. So can you just in your view, explain those and then I want to go in another direction. I want to go towards mindset, but let's just
Uh,
explain what the difference between those two are. So we have that clear.
yeah, self-talk is that happens. Well, when we're talking about this kind of harsh critic, that happens automatically. It's in the moment. Um, and I would say mindset is more related to your core beliefs. Um, and it's the lens through which you see the whole world. It's more constant versus
Mhm.
self-talk is situational, I think. And I think I forgot what you said at the beginning. It's sort of like the weather or the clouds, they come and go.
Yeah, well, I said it was more the story you
Yeah.
tell yourself, and the story that you're living in, and the self-talk is the words on the page.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Right. But there's a bigger context, and that mindset is your basic attitude toward
Yeah.
life.
And I also want to note that self-talk doesn't have to be negative. Self-talk could be positive. You could have that conversation with yourself that is positive,
Absolutely.
or serving what you want to do. Because again, let's go back to that very clear goal of finishing the race, so that the outcome is crystal clear. It's right there. It's not that, it's pretty immediate. It's not that far away. So it's easy to say, oh, is this helping me or is not helping? There's not that many factors to factor in. Is it either helping me or serving me or not serving me? That's where the opportunity where you're like, there's thoughts that just fly across your face. You're like, no, I've trained for this for 16 weeks. I've had good coaching. I've bought the right shoes. Whatever. I don't know. Those thoughts also can come across the thing, and latching onto those and letting the other ones go.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing is that it we didn't mention is action is even in the presence of whatever self-talk is going on, you can still act. You don't have to be a slave to your self-talk. But that's part of mindset too.
Yeah.
A more resilient mindset says, okay, these bad things can be going on, but I can still act in the in the service of my values.
So that's where you say it's chicken and egg. I view it as a loop where
Oh,
your mindset influences your self talk influences your mindset, and they can loop back and forth. By letting go of the self talk that is not serving you, that reinforces that mindset that you have, that you believe in, that's that larger story you're telling yourself, and that larger story you're telling yourself, it loops back and influences the self talk messages that you want to keep,
yeah.
and
And
vice
I
versa.
think absolutely. And I think what helps to make that loop work and optimize how it works is to use some solution focus approaches related to defining the future that you
Yeah,
want.
that's where I
The
wanted to go.
person
You got there.
Woof, good. Yeah, because you can go round and round about what your mindset, your self-talk. It's in the abstract, it's either abstract or there is no destination. So the point is, even in 6 months, what's the life you want to be living? Who do you want to see yourself as? What do you want to, how do you want to show up in the world? In other words, and if you keep that and you paint as detailed and vivid a picture you can of that life that you want for your better future, then mind and self-talk have a kind of, have somewhere to go. And so
Yeah.
then you can say, well, if I want to be that kind, patient person, if I'm telling myself, hurry up, is that serving? Does that does that match with the kind of person that I want to be on the path to become?
Oh, I love that. Is it in that visualization, taking the time to visualize that? What would you suggest to our listeners to how could they create that? How could they practice that? Give us some practical questions that they can ask themselves or journal about.
You know what would be, yeah, I think there are so many questions you could ask. One is, um, to project 6 months in the future, not 5 years, but just 6 months in the future. And whatever problems are, beset you now and that you're struggling with have somehow resolved and you're living in a way closer to what you really want to be doing, and take off all the shoulds and, well, I can't because of my just it's about imagination and dreaming. What would
It's
your
already
dream?
happened.
It's already happened. Oh yeah, you're living. Thank you, Glenn. You're living 6 months from now. You're living closer to what you want to be. Maybe it's, there's still a little ways to go, but in 6 months you are living much closer to where you want to be. What will be different about it? What will you notice? And here's the noticing. What will you notice that tells you something has shifted for you? So you're actually catapulting yourself into your desired future, your better future, and then kind of reverse engineering instead of, oh, what do I have to do to get there? Just put yourself there. Imagine 6 months from now, I would be the weight I want to be. I would be having the exercise. I would be having the sleep routine. What would I be doing differently? Drill down.
And
Don't make
sometimes
it
people struggle that with in our coaching program. Some people struggle with that, and we often ask, well, what would other people be noticing about you?
absolutely. Yes, exactly. So that it can be hard for people, especially because we get so caught up in how to fix our problems rather than dreaming. And we know from brain imaging, very recent brain imaging, that when we are in that dreaming, imagine life in our better future. When we're dreaming, the parts of the brain that are related to creativity are activated. First, when we say, "Well, what can we do to get there?" Without first of all shaping and creating a detailed picture of that dream, we just say, "Well, we want better life, healthier, more fit. What can we do to get there?" Then the brain shuts down because it gets into the problem solving and the analyzing and why you can't do it. So start dream first. If that's hard for you, then invoke a third party or second, and it's what would someone else notice? And that can be hard for people. Um, then ask for people who are dog lovers, it works instantly. It's like, what would your dog notice? And I've seen this happen several times because I have so many dog lovers, dog owners on my street. They say, well, what would your dog notice? Oh, they'd know immediately because they feel so close and so sensitive to each other's moods and ways. So what would your dog notice? If that you don't have a dog, you don't. Well, if I were, somehow a fly on the wall, what would I notice that would be different? Um, Very often people say, I'd be smiling more. And that I
Yeah.
think is really poignant.
So that future description is setting your mindset up, and that mindset then influences the self talk in the moment. Because, like I said, our brain doesn't know the past, present, and the future. So when we visualize that, we've already done that. So therefore, the self talk starts to reinforce what we've already done, and
Exactly.
that's where the loop comes into play.
Yeah. And what's so cool about, our solution focused work is that we say change is already happening. You don't
Yeah.
have to do obviously you will do because your action is ultimately where it's at. But change happens just by your imagining, your visualizing, and it has to be in great detail. If you say, I'm going to get fit because I'll be stretching, well, what stretches will you do? When will you do them? How will you do them? So we always want to be asking the what questions, what will you be doing? And how will you be doing? That's the process questions. And your
So
mind should,
that's and the fact that people are actually listening to this podcast shows that they are already on the path to change. They're
yes,
already doing
yes,
that.
yes.
Well, we could go into this much more deeper, and we're going to talk more about self talk and mindset over the next couple of weeks because we have our upcoming self talk mastery quest coming up. And that will be on, what is that? September 22nd, we'll be starting that self talk mastery quest. It's one of our most popular quests, and where you'll be able to strengthen your mental and emotional resilience, reduce stress, and build unshakable confidence. And so, any final words before we wrap up, Dr. Teplow?
Go with the force of imagination and that sense that, that the brain does what the brain does and you have options.
You have options, yes. So we talked about the 8 magic words. We have a link below for you to download those 8 magic words. Dr. Teplow did give those out, but you can have a PDF that you can download and have some more instructions on how to use that. And if today's episode resonated with you, and if you're ready to move beyond just willpower and align your behavior change and your health with your identity, we invite you to join us inside Stamina Lab, where that's through one of our core health coaching memberships or the next 14-day quest, which is our self-talk mastery quest. We're here to help you become the person you are already on the path to being. And please hit like or subscribe. We are so close to our 100 subscribers. It's a big milestone for us. So please hit like and subscribe. We talk about solution-focused strategies to improve your health every single week. Like I said, we have the self-talk mastery quest. We're going to put a link in the description below for that. We also have a self-talk assessment quiz that you can take. This will help you uncover your self-talk style and what it means for your resilience, your focus, and your health span. And if you want to learn more about our unique solution-focused approach, visit staminalab.io and you can book a complimentary coaching session with one of our team members there. Also, leave any questions or comments below. We'd love to answer those. Thank you, Dr. Teplow.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Until next time, remember, you are your own lab, you are your own experiment, and you are your own best coach. Be well.